Well, we did that with,
Prior.
yes, we did it with, what's his name? I forget his name now. The other attorney we had as town council, Jay Talaman in 2013. He was our town
Right.
council. so.
Vinny, it's 7 o'clock and the recording is on.
Okay. Okay,
Go ahead,
Okay.
Ben.
being 7 o'clock, I'd like to open the meeting for the Bellingham Board of Health for May 3rd, 2022. Myself, Vice Chair, Vin 40. Member, let's say Trish
Wait,
Leclerc,
yeah.
I guess, whatever. Mike Hennessy, member, and Bruce Wilson, our health agent, our tobacco and food agent, Robert Griffin III, and members, our minutes clerk, Laura Renaud, and members of the public. First order of business is the minutes from April 12th, 2022. I didn't read them yet, so I don't know if anybody else did, but whatever.
I have a motion to accept the minutes.
You have a second on that?
Can I just have one more minute? I'm just reading
Go
one
ahead.
area. Thank you.
Let me introduce myself. My name is Quandavius Wigglestock.
Okay, I'm good. I second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay.
Oh, is this for Quan?
Hold on a minute. Okay, so the next order of business is the Hazardous Waste Day for Bellingham is scheduled for July 23rd, 9 to 1 at the middle school. So it's a little later than a normal, but at least everybody will get rid of any paints or oil or other materials that are hazardous by nature of the hazardous waste laws. And, no latex paint, stuff like that, that's non-hazardous will be accepted at the hazardous waste day. So,
Bruce, do you know if they will be putting that on the electronic sign? I know they have in the past.
I will check with Don and see if we can't get that put together.
Yeah.
And I believe there's a list of the materials they'll accept too. Want to make sure we get that on our webpage.
yeah, that would be a good idea. They
Yeah,
also
that'd be
put it,
good.
right. They also put it up at the sign. It's at the mobile station at Hartford Ave. It's usually listed there every year. But I agree that mobile flashing signs, those are good to have too. Okay. Okay. What time is it? 7:10. Okay, so we got 5 minutes, I guess. Or do you want to just move along, guys?
We can just move along, Vinny.
Okay, okay. So I guess 7:10 is board reorganization. We'll finally have an official chair, vice chair, and member. So So, what do we use? Turn this over to Bruce and then whatever.
Do I hear,
I
do I hear
think-
any nominations for the chair for the next term?
I was gonna pick Vinny for chair, please.
We have
Second.
a first and a second. Any, all in favor?
Aye,
Okay.
I'm in
Aye.
favor.
Aye.
Okay, Vinny is now our chair. And do we
Okay.
have a motion for a vice chairperson?
Patricia,
Second that, okay. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay,
Unanimous. Okay, so we have our chair and vice chair for the next term. Thanks, guys.
okay. And Mike,
Do we
you're
have
a
to make a
member.
motion for Mike to be our member or no?
Member at
Because
large.
we already did that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so next order of business is the smoking news. Roberta Mastroianni and discuss vaping ban. So I don't know if she's on. Okay, so
If not, I know that she was one of the items we originally had discussed, waiting
Right.
for show for.
okay, so we're waiting for Cheryl to comment as that as well.
That's kind of up to you guys. I know that it was something that we had wanted to. It kind
Yeah,
of
we did want her opinion, yeah.
I was gonna say from my conversations with her, we really didn't get to talk too much about it. So I don't have any updates
Okay,
on what her thoughts are. But if it's something that she can potentially come to the next meeting, then we can put it on the books again for that.
okay. So Laura, can we just continue that, the vaping ban request for the smoking news, and hopefully Cheryl Sabara will show up for the next meeting. If she can't make it, I think we're gonna try to get a a letter from her, a memo from her stating the legality of the, putting our amendment, which was left out from the last signing on our tobacco stuff, and also whether, we are one of 3 towns that are banning vaping completely. I think it's Canton, Blackstone, Bellingham. So I know Blackstone followed suit. The minute we did it, they did it. So that said, they can do what they want later on. Okay, we'll table that and we'll end up going to the next thing was birthday plan acknowledgements.
Wait, can I bring
Sorry.
something up,
Go-
Vinny?
Yes, sure, Trish, go ahead.
So when we were reading our regs, and Robbie, you can back me up on this, but when reading the tobacco regs, we noticed that when we had put back in 2012 or 2013, we were following through with the no mind altering substances.
Right.
For some reason, we noticed that it wasn't in our last regs. It didn't get carried over. So can I make a motion that we bring that to put that back in to our regs?
Okay, yeah, you can do that. Put it this way here. The last one did go through Jay Talaman. He was our town council. He didn't comment about it. He just said, well, whatever MAHB wanted to do. And at that time, the legal counsel, she is also still a legal counsel for the Masters Area Health Boards, but she's also the director. Cheryl Sabara weighed in and her only comment was, somebody may contest it because they'll say alcohol is mind altering. And I agreed with her that it is. I said, but it was something that was grandfathered because it established itself as a legal medical substance, essentially, in after 1920, 21 to 22. So it's been, let's say, accepted in this public, and it is medicinal to quite a few groups of people, ethnic groups, and it is in a majority of your cough medicines, a majority of your medical stuff where alcohol is a better, what do we call it, diluter, where water does not work because they form suspensions. So a lot of drugs and a lot of chemicals that you have to, pharmaceuticals you have to ingest, have to be mixed with alcohol. And in the case of young children or young adults, it's less of a dose, but they still get more medicine.
So I get all that, Vinny, but let's bring
Let's
that
just
back
do-
to
yeah.
town council, have Laura and Bruce bring that to the
okay.
table and say, hey, this was left out. We just want that back in. Whatever happens after, we can work out that, but right
Okay.
now, that's something that was in and disappeared and we need it back in.
Okay,
Okay?
okay.
And
You want a
Robbie,
second?
do you agree with that, Robbie?
Yeah, so with my conversation that I had with Cheryl previously, I know that it's been put forward a couple times. So I know that we have the record from 2013 when it was originally put in.
Right,
Then there was the public hearing in 2018. So I don't know. Obviously, both of those were before my time with the board. So I don't know.
it was in 18, Robert. It was in the 18 reg. I looked at it and I have both now.
Okay. So if it is in
2020
there-
was when the state made the majority age of 18 to 21 years of age. When we did that, that was not carried forward. I don't know how that happened, but you know.
So it really shouldn't be an issue, but just to,
So
put
do you
it
want
back
to do that
to-
first, Trish? Or do you want to bring it in and then,
no, I want to put that in place.
okay, fine, that's fine.
And then
We
we
could
can
make
work
the-
off it after the fact, but let's put it back where it was.
Right,
Because
I
it was
agree.
taken out somehow.
Okay,
we could make the motion to approve it and put it back into the regulations, and then we can just clear it through town council
Okay.
after the fact, because we would have to have them
Okay.
amend the regulations
Okay.
anyway.
All right, perfect. So let's do that.
so Mike, do you want to second it? Or can I have a second?
Second for what? You kind of lost me with some of the lingo. So
Oh,
we're,
sorry, Mike. So in 2013, 2012, 2013,
Right.
we had put no mind altering substances because we had some smoke shops that were selling funky tobacco products that were really messing up people's heads. So the police chief had come to us and asked us to put this in our regs, our tobacco regs. So we did that. So we've been carrying over throughout the years, but for some reason, it somehow got taken out between 2018 and 2020.
20,
Right.
right, 2020, right?
My
What
assumption is
what
that
we
it may
wanna
have just,
do is just make sure that that is put back in to our regs. Because whoever rewrote them didn't put that in there. Does that
Right.
make sense?
yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and abstain from this one.
Okay,
Okay, I'll second it then. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, one abstention. Okay, we'll put that back in and we'll seek advice of town council that we did that. Okay. So the next item was Earth Day. Sorry, Trish, for skipping over that. Earth Day plan acknowledgements. We want to acknowledge Honeydew, Aroma Pizza, Market Basket, Stop and Shop, and all the volunteers and the interns. I think we had several other people there from sports within Bellingham for their great effort. We picked up, correct me if I'm wrong, Bruce, was it 125 bags? They didn't weigh them. They couldn't get the tonnage, I don't believe.
Yeah, no, they couldn't with the tennis. It was actually 105 bags,
Okay,
but we still had a huge turnout. It was great.
yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, the streets are looking pretty good, except some streets now, stuff has reappeared that were totally clean. It's a little upsetting, but I guess, if you weren't out there picking, you're out there throwing. The other thing too is that came out of this, I think this is an appropriate spot to stick it in. We had discussed the issue of amending. We can either do a public hearing if we have to, but I think when you amend the regulations that you already have to include something, a lot of the businesses that have warehousing or just businesses that abut large embankments that are either shoulder the road, either town property or not, or their own property. They're either employees, because some of it's away from highways, are throwing trash into their, let's say, bank area near the parking lot. So Trish had come up with an idea that every 3 months, they need to pick up those areas and send us a photo. So if we amend the commercial bylaw to include parking areas and surrounding areas of the warehousing of any business, that their bank, their peripheral areas need to be cleaned every 3 months. I don't see that as a burden. I think it shows good character and good, what do you call it? I can't think of the other word, but they do that, and that would help us when we do an Earth Day. Since we're only doing it once a year, they could be picking up, because there was quite a bit of trash. Depot Street was, I think, at least from I would say, the worst. Second might have been Maple Street. I could not believe the number of bags out there. When I drove by at 1 o'clock, there was piles of them, so. So I don't know.
What do you think about that, Mike?
I'm in full support of that, Trish.
Okay. So maybe we could just send out a letter, just
Yep.
to the businesses, just asking, if they could participate in that to help keep our town clean.
And we can, if you want, we can.
I'll support anything. I'll support all that.
Yeah.
I'm in favor. Can I make one other note in regards to
Sure.
Earth Day?
Yeah.
When I was with Bruce, we encountered the football team, and I want to just go on record giving them a great congratulations. The coaches were out there, the team was out there, and they were actually looking for more community service projects. So I followed up. I actually met Robbie's mom at the cemetery division. We have a project in the city I work in where we clean the veterans' headstones. Right over the summertime, we use it's D2. Vinny, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that.
Yep.
It's an organic,
Yep.
organic, and we just use soft bristle brushes.
Okay.
So it is going to be brought up to their meeting because obviously I don't want to tell the football team, yeah, go ahead and start stripping through the cemetery
Right.
without getting their permission first. So it's going to their next meeting, and
Okay.
I'll support that and help out with that in any way. And
Right.
the nice woman came over and said, "Oh, I'm Robbie's mom."
She's very nice. Tina.
Cheers. Tina,
Used to be our minutes clerk.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
she's
the other
awesome.
question for you, Mike, do they wear gloves or any goggles?
And I ensure there is a little different method. We use the D2 bottle. They spray
Okay.
it. They have goggles. They have gloves.
Okay, good, because, it
And,
is somewhat, it's stronger than sodium hypochlorite and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, we do dilute it. And
Okay,
I don't
good,
know if that's
good, okay.
advisable or not, but we dilute it. It does the
That's
job
fine.
just as great. And we use a pump spray bottle for the
Okay.
water. So we spray it on, rub it, let it sit for a little
Okay.
bit. and we-
So does it work on granite, limestone, and like the copper ones for the soldiers, if like,
The copper ones, I don't use it as much. I mainly do the stone, like
The stones, okay.
the VA issued the marble headstones for like the
Okay,
World War
fine.
II.
good?
We don't
okay.
touch any of the ancient or the Civil War. We don't touch any of those.
Yeah, those are limestone. I think if you put that on, you could
don't-
decompose part of it.
We
yeah.
don't touch those.
And I don't know if it will work. I know you said marble, right? They did marble. So marble and granite usually the same cleansers or cleaners work. So if you have countertops of either one, that same D2 will work on that. The thing I'd say is some of the earlier soldiers, either they didn't have them, they didn't put a grave marker, they put well, they did put a grave marker, but they didn't use stone. They used copper or bronze. So that usually Barrasso works, the military stuff.
The copper, I just, at least I
Leave it
don't know
alone.
how other communities do it. The community I physically work in, I just
Yeah.
clean up around it with a little, like a knife. I clean off the grass.
Yeah, the grass grows over them, yeah, because they're flat.
But I just wanted to make a note of that and just,
Yeah.
give an extra congratulations because you don't see a lot of football teams out there doing stuff.
No,
like
you
that.
don't. I really
No.
hope that we can get more sports organizations in the town involved next year. Maybe we can try to reach out to them, in the beginning of the year and see if we can get them to help out.
Yeah.
Also, when working on that project, Mike, I'd be interested in helping out if needed as well.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, from what I spoke to the cemetery director, she said it's not going to go in front of their meeting until July. So,
Okay.
and I think from what the football coach, the head coach said, they can start actually having real practices. Everything up to now has been unofficial. So
Okay.
it'll be an official.
So that'll be what, the town cemetery that's over on Mechanic, and then, or is it all of them you'll do?
Wherever the need is.
Wherever the veterans are? Okay.
I mean, I've been in my town for 3.5 years, and it's been an ongoing project for 3.5 years.
Okay. Yeah, it's a great idea. And, you can call that Earth Day or just simply Veterans, it probably coincide really nice with Memorial Day, stuff like that,
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not going to go for Memorial Day, maybe Veterans Day.
Okay,
Yeah,
Veterans Day,
Veterans
Veterans
Day
Day,
would be
okay,
good.
fine. That's fine. That works.
Mike, when you get a chance and you're over by the town hall, let's climb under the stair closet there and see what's in there. I believe there's some safety goggles and maybe we can get some gloves and stuff for them. We'll take a
Okay,
look.
and I was gonna reach out to the VFW. They both, I mean, across the board, it was contact Jim Hastings. See if there's a grant out there. Somebody would be willing to donate some D2.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. Okay, so that's done. Okay, next thing is 7:15 or whatever time. It's BP gas station, 1052 South Main Street. So,
Somebody.
good evening.
Good evening, Kelsey Marin on behalf of Mr. Patel, the entity that has a lease at BP Gas right now. Just appearing to discuss his tobacco license.
So Rob, you want to venture in exactly what happened or?
Yeah, just to kind of give the facts of the matter at this point. So when the previous entity that leased that property vacated, obviously there is now a new tenant in that location. When the tenant sent in their application for a permit, it was put in under the same DBA and obviously actually the same last name. So it was processed as a renewal as opposed to a new issue.
Right.
But due to the location's proximity to a school, unless they physically purchased the business from the previous owner or from the previous tenant, they would not be able to actually qualify for a permit due to the 2020 regulation changes, where it outlines that we cannot issue any new permits within 500 feet of another retailer or 500 feet of a school.
So do you know what, I guess at this point, what we're reading is that they renewed the permit under the same DBA, but it actually was never purchased. It wasn't the same DBA. That DBA moved their location to a place in South Bellingham, I think, so.
From what I was going to say, from what my understanding is, there was the previous tenant moved and then the new owner just assumed a new lease at the same premises, and obviously counsel for them can clarify that better if I am mistaken.
So my understanding is they applied under a new entity name, but the DBA is still BP Gas, but the entity on the application was a different entity. And I believe it is the same last name, Patel, but different first names. I believe the two parties, the former tenant and the current tenant, are related, but they did apply under a new name, a new entity. The tobacco license was issued to my client, and relying on that license, he actually signed a 5-year lease for that location at BP Gas. And then we discovered this misunderstanding, this issue with the new 2020 regulations. And so I'm just appearing to see if there's anything that we can work out. Essentially, my client's business is not viable at that location without a tobacco license. He will essentially go out of business. And he is committed to a 5-year lease that he signed when he had a tobacco permit that had been issued to him and his new entity. So we're just looking for a way, if there's any way to work this out with the town in order to allow Mr. Patel to continue to operate that business at BP Gas, which he essentially cannot do without a tobacco license.
Robert, what else? I mean, I guess that you've said what you've said, and I guess that's up to us. I don't know.
I was going to say, yeah, it's more of a board decision.
Yeah, okay, fine.
The only thing I do have to say to council is that in that same application that he submitted under, whether it was a different entity name or what have you, he also, put in and certified that he read our regulations under the pains and penalties of perjury. And in that, obviously, you would have seen that you were within 500 feet of a school as well. So,
Okay.
And we have,
it's the board.
sorry. We've requested a copy of his application and we just haven't received it yet. And I don't believe my client has a copy of the application. So whenever the town has an opportunity just to get that over to my client. We would love to review the application.
Okay.
If I may.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Ambler. Go ahead.
Scott Ambler, I'm an attorney in Bellingham. I'm actually involved in this hearing. I'm covering on the behalf of Chris Ryan, who, as you guys may know, is an attorney out of Blackstone, Mass. And his client is the former operator of the store that was located in this premises. And I guess I just wanted to make clear from his behalf that, as you well know, his corporation, VB Variety Inc., is still in business. He has opened a new store in South Bellingham as a result of being evicted from the BP gas station. And he has been issued, various licenses to operate. This entity has nothing to do with his legal operation there. So it definitely, as Mr. Griffin has pointed out, this is a new license. Don't know how you really could just ignore the town's regulations with regard to this application. It would kind of render it, your own regulations moot. It's probably the only location, somewhat nearby in the whole town that comes into conflict here. And I did have a copy of the application, and again, to back up what Mr. Griffin said, if you look at it, there are questions within your own application as to whether the establishment is within a certain distance of a school, and he stated no. I mean, he failed to answer the question. He didn't check off yes or no.
Scott.
Okay, so
So the motion's going to be either to uphold the suspension, or are we going to be trying to terminate the license?
I don't know if they'll get.
Oh, go
I don't
ahead.
know if good. I don't know if there's any way they can, even if you see the application, I'm not sure that, I don't know, somebody's on there. I'm not sure that you can, in the application, find out, like Mr. Ambler just pointed out, he didn't check neither yes or no. So I don't know if that was, how do we say it? Callousness or deliberate, but our regulation is as it is for that reason. We also have the other part of the regulation says we will not issue permits to a new establishment if it's within 500 feet of another. If it's a renewal, that's a different story. And this was technically brought in as a renewal, but even though it's BP, it's not. It's BP may be the gas station, but the convenience store that is BP something or other is now in South Bellingham. So that other part, even though the name on the end is the same, Patel, I guess, is like Smith and Jones, very, very popular. It's the Board of Health has regulations. We have to uphold them. So I guess at this point, Trish, Mike, do we want to terminate it, or do we want to just continue it to see if they can some other way to correct
We
this?
would be willing to work with the town on any sort of potential restrictions on the issuance of a license. I know there's a 3-strike policy, I believe, in place right now.
Yeah.
We would be willing to work with that. Any sort of special permit or exceptions, something in the line with a variance to a zoning bylaw. We're willing to work with the town. It's just that it was issued to my client and he signed a 5-year lease.
It was, and my concern is that there might have been, it might have been not issued under honesty. I understand it's the same last name, but it's a different entity. From my point of view, the only thing that would change is if he picks up and moves his business, because the prior business was grandfathered and then the law passed, and now it's a new owner of a different business, within 500 feet of a school.
Which was listed on his application. He listed his name and a different entity.
But he didn't check off where the business was. It was like Chairman Forte said, it was left blank.
Yes, but I'm not sure how you can establish nefarious intent from failing to check off a box that the town itself issued him a license regardless of that box. So
But it was done under a renewal and this is a new
Renewal.
business.
yes, which he disclosed on the application. I think it was a miscommunication and a misunderstanding, but relying on that issuance of that license, my client signed a 5-year lease that is now no longer viable when he was issued a license. And again, we haven't gotten the application. We've requested it, but it was not produced to us. So,
Okay, so let's get the application over to them,
Okay.
and Scott, you have it. You already.
I just wanted to make a couple of statements. It's my understanding, and the board knows this better than anyone in the room right now. It's my understanding that when the application was made, just to reiterate, that this gentleman, the current applicant, implied that he was the new owner of basically Attorney Ryan's client's store, and that's not the case. He may have been the new tenant at that location, but he did not have anything to do with my client's store. There was no transfer of ownership. There was nothing of that nature. So this is a totally new legal entity taking over a new business, and he implied, as I am to understand, that that was not the case, that he was taking over the store from Attorney Ryan's client. So,
and respectfully,
I
I'm
just,
not sure where that implication is coming from without having the application in front of me.
Is this a pending litigation between is this going to court?
no, there's nothing pending litigation wise.
Okay.
Yeah, and the only thing I can state is that
So Rob or Laura, can we get a copy of that application sent over to Chelsea?
Actually, they have an account on our software. They can go in and look at it on their own.
Okay,
They
fine.
filled out the application on their own.
Okay.
If they sign in, they'll see it.
And if you can go to Permatize, sign in, and you can pull up that application. Is that correct, Laura?
Yes, or I can get it to them tomorrow, not a problem.
Okay, okay.
So
So-
can I
This is
just have a question though? So there's a question on Permanizer. See, I'm not familiar with that end. So there's a question on Permanizer that asks them if they're within 500 feet of a school.
Yes, yeah.
And what did he put on that? He left it blank, or did he say
He left
no?
it blank, not yes, not no. So.
But he knew the answer because he can see the school right from across the street from the
Right,
business,
right.
but didn't
yeah.
answer the question.
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that.
And it's not the physical building, even that might be 500 feet. It's actually where the edges, the school property ends and the other entity's property begins. So that's the 500-foot rule, you know. We typically, on another business, we typically might say it might be building to building, but it's probably property line to property line. That's the way zoning goes. So
And
the
I would
new
have-
entity has a property line, so.
Sorry, apologies. I would have to consult with my client about whether he knew at that time it was within 500 feet. I believe he's a Rhode Island resident.
Okay,
I'm not sure at the time he applied whether he knew it was within 500 feet of a school.
I think that's irrelevant, whether he knew or not. It's his obligation to know, the facts when he's filing an application. And it's the applicant's responsibility. It's not the board's responsibility or anyone else's. It's as if, the town, if the town issued a improper building permit, and then realized it, weeks later, they could rescind it. Under those scenarios. And there's, the applicant has the obligation to know the laws, know the regulations of what he's proposing. And that's what did not happen here.
If I may, just to say a couple things real quick. I think that this should be continued to the next meeting, just so that we do give counsel for the new owners adequate time to look at the application. However, I did actually just pull up the application on my computer because I have access to the system. And the first question or the third question that they ask that's a yes or no is the establishment within 1,000 feet of a school? And the client actually checked no here. So I'm sure that we can send that over. From what I understand, that there is obviously just a misunderstanding between parties here. When the new tenant had come in, he stated that he was the new owner of BP, which obviously is a valid statement. He is now the new tenant. But the difference being that because the previous establishment was grandfathered, if there had been in fact an exchange for the business, so if the new tenant had purchased it from Attorney Ryan's client, then that license would have moved forward. The issue is that it was a ownership change in the property as opposed to in the business entity. So unless they can potentially work something out where, they do purchase the business or purchase the business license from the previous owner, I don't see how we can make any adjustments. However, obviously I do want to make sure that the new tenant gets all of their information. So we can definitely send that application that they filled out previously and they kind of continue it till the next meeting.
Okay, I'm on board with that.
Okay, can I have a motion with continues till our next meeting, which is May 17th?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay, we'll see you on the 17th and we'll get you a copy of the application. Thank you.
Great. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Okay, next business item is, wait a minute. Let's see, signing the agent's contract. Is that you, Rob?
That is me.
Okay,
That's it. Finally done.
finally.
It is. I was gonna say it is finally done, but obviously with us not meeting in person, I don't have the hard copy for you guys. So
Okay.
I didn't know if it was easier for me to just send it over. I know that we have plans and bills on there, so I can email it over. And then once those get circulated, if you guys all want to sign them, I know we had already
Okay,
accepted it with the changes being of, I know we had changed a couple of spots where it said that, as opposed to the town, it's specifically the board.
okay,
But those items were the only modifications.
okay. And so if
Yeah,
that's
so
done,
that's
do we
fine.
want
I'm
to,
happy to sign with everything else.
so do we want a motion to sign this when we get the hard copy with those changes that were made? Whereas town is removed and it's the Board of Health that he works for.
Yes, we can make a motion on that.
Okay. Okay. So if you want to make that motion, Trish?
So I'd like to make a motion that we approve Robbie's contract for, it was food and tobacco, right, Robbie?
Yes, it was both
Yeah, it's
contracts.
both.
With the amended changes.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay, thanks. Okay, moving along. Okay. Getting to goals. Pet food establishment, stuff like that, I guess. So what have we done with, I guess we have to go back to PetSmart. They still in limbo in terms of,
So currently they are still operating as they are or were previously.
okay,
I think the best way for us to kind of go around it is that we just kind of have town council write up something generic stating that any establishment that sells any type of food product, period,
okay,
needs to possess a food permit
right.
in order for us to make sure that they're doing so properly. But
Correct.
that would also eliminate the issue of you can't be a permit holder and have
Animals.
non-service animals.
Correct.
So
Right.
it's kind of a two birds with one stone.
Right.
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Good. Okay,
So-
so let's
so-
do that.
Laura, if you can get something over to town council so that we have this statement saying that, like, as Robbie just brought up, anything that's food or liquid that's ingested requires a food permit in Bellingham. And they can't possess one unless they only treat or cater to service dogs, period. So if we can get that going, and then that covers the federal food code. The other thing was outside fuel storage tanks. I don't know, I haven't had any time to look and see. I don't know, Bruce, if you've had any chance to look and see if there are any grants out there from the state of Massachusetts. I mean,
Well,
I
I
guess
I thought we were gonna try to look into our septic funding and see if we would be allowed to do that.
yeah, I mean, I don't know how to, at this point, how to do that. Unless we can call the pollution abatement trust. Maybe Bruce, if you can get the phone number for the pollution abatement trust, it should be on all the legal documents. See if we can get somebody who's a program manager for that group and see if we can bring back one of the entities that was in there. There was lead, there was asbestos, and there was fuel oil tanks. The
Do
other
we
thing
have
is,
someone that we typically communicate with? Like
I
a
don't- I-
person, like for the funding and everything that we could,
the
send an
funding,
email to, or-
like this town meeting, it's not gonna be at it, it'll be at the November meeting. But usually for the funding, that would be Mary, and I don't think we do any contact other than Mary. Once the article passes the town meeting, then the funding comes from the thing, from the entity. And in this case, since it's money, it's going from one CFO or state CFO, to another, local CFO.
There is one grant out there that I did some digging into
Okay,
for septics and for honestly, any type of home repairs, safety wise.
okay,
Revitalize Community Development Corporation.
okay,
They reached out to me through my employer, and it's for, because I work with veterans, it's for veterans, but it's also for low income and elderly housing.
Okay.
They will do any type of emergency repairs.
okay,
So, and it's out of Springfield, so it's a local company.
okay. Now that one there happens to be what we, like you just said, it's a grant, right?
A grant, it's not a loan.
Right, it's not a loan, okay.
well,
So
that's
the-
even better.
Yeah, that's better, yeah. The only thing is, I assume that people having these tanks outside, or I'm sure they don't have them in the ground anymore, because that's a federal law that was passed in, I think, 99. You could no longer have an underground UST. You can at service stations, but it's double walled, enclosed with monitoring systems and crushed stone, and then a cement wall all around that. And every cover has a little slots on it, so that if anything spills, it's vapor recovery and it's spill recovery systems.
So
Gotcha.
what I'll do is I'll send
See if
it
you
to the board, because it's a link. They're actually doing a virtual training session
Okay,
Oh, okay.
about it. So I'll send it to the board and I'll send it to Bruce and Laura. It's Thursday, the 19th, 11 to 12.
okay,
Perfect. Thank you.
okay, thank you. Okay.
If
so-
I may, too, it's not my jurisdiction.
Right.
But I did find a little bit of information on that as well. So I believe that the UST program or fund that was created in 91 also does put money towards that. But in the MGLs, there's actually a specific section regarding grants for fuel tanks, and
Okay.
a grant cannot cover more than 50% of the costs.
Okay, okay. Would that be more for service stations or anything, any entity that's got an underground storage tank?
I think it's any type of storage tank.
Okay, good. Okay, and it was 91. I was gonna say, I thought it was earlier than 99, but okay, that's great. So,
Can you send us information on that as well, Robbie?
yeah,
Absolutely. I'll send an email after.
Good.
Thank you.
okay. So Bruce, health agent updates. What's new? Oh, actually, I have something after you update us. Go ahead.
Okay. Pleasantly surprised. I forgot that I had applied for this, but you had a grant for $29,800 come in that would pay for anything COVID funds, vaccinations, Esther's track and trace efforts, stuff like that. So the check came in the mail yesterday, of which we can use to pay anything COVID.
Okay,
All right, so we'll sit as a board to figure out where we feel that money should go.
yeah, I think that's a good idea. Maybe if we have it, when will we have the check, Bruce? We'll have it before the next meeting, right?
The check
We already
is
got
in
it.
hand.
Oh, we
Mary
got it,
has
okay,
and it's been-
okay. So I guess maybe you or
I
Laura
mean,
could,
there's limitations of what it can be spent for in there. It's spelled out in a document of which I've, forwarded down to Mary so that she can set up something for it.
Okay,
Laura, can you scan that document that Bruce is speaking of and send it to the board so that we can look at it?
yeah. And then
Yes, I can
maybe-
do that.
Thank you.
And maybe we can look and see if there's supplies downstairs that, we use for COVID. I think for the most part, we got quite a few supplies replenished downstairs, like
Yeah,
newer
that's,
gloves, new stuff.
we need to do inventory and replace what's,
Right.
we put a big dent in it.
Okay, good. But
I
like I
think
said,
that
some of the
we-
stuff is, old too.
I think we definitely need to plan for the fall,
Yeah.
with more vaccines and
Yeah.
testing. And so we'll probably need more gloves and stuff. So I definitely think that we should, I know we have to spend the money, because if you don't spend it, they
Right,
don't
you'd
keep
have to
giving
return
it
it.
to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think we have to think of the future. I don't want everyone to get excited and go, oh, we have $29,000. Let's go spend it. Let's
Right,
make sure
right.
that we're spending it in the right place for the right
Correct.
reason.
Right. And whatever we purchase, doesn't have a shelf life, obviously. I don't know, could we use it for vaccines, like the standard vaccine flu? I don't know. Yeah.
I'll get the document for you so you can see
Okay,
where
fine.
you can spend it.
Yeah,
That
I
might
think
be
we should-
something we could do.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we go off the list of what it says that you can use it for, then
Correct.
just pull
Yeah.
stuff.
I was hoping that by the fall, what you'd have is, or early winter, we would have a
It
flu,
has to,
COVID.
it has to be
Right.
spent by June 30.
June 30th. Okay, got it. Never mind. Can't guide vaccine to last that long. Okay,
But I mean, you can still buy products and testing and stuff that will last. Those usually go 2 to 3 years, so.
yeah, okay, so we can look at that and decide what we want to get with it, okay? So the other thing too is, Bruce, Lake Street, the open well pit.
That's correct. I did speak to Norman. He was not able to get a crew out there immediately right away, but he does have a crew showing up on site tomorrow to cap that.
Okay, great, thanks.
He's not all that handy and needed to hire a contractor.
That's fine, good. Okay,
Almost
So-
2 weeks to get that covered. That's a little scary.
yeah, I know. No, whatever, hopefully, like, obviously, let's say you
I mean,
dodge a bullet.
we
Yeah.
did ribbon it off with caution tape.
Okay, yeah, well,
Doesn't stop a little kid from falling in there, though.
correct, yeah, okay. Anyway, well, okay, we dodged a bullet, let's say, and I guess we'll move on. I just wanted to make sure that something was happening with that, because the longer it's out there, the greater risk that someone will find it. I'm probably saying the tape, if it's colorful, attracts things, people too, like kids. And the other thing too, there may be pets in the neighborhood, someone's pet might be their child, they wouldn't want it in some well drowning, So,
Well, I hope someone's on drinking that water in the future.
yeah, I think it's abandoned, right? It
Yeah,
was
it's
never
been
drinking
abandoned.
water. Yeah, so it
It's
could
been
be used for
abandoned, and the most
irrigation.
part, It's caved in or filled in, so that it's maybe 4 or 5 feet deep at the most.
Oh, okay, I thought it was deeper, okay. Okay, either way, it'll get capped and it'll be done with, that's
Do
fine.
we have, well water regs for our town, or?
Yes, there's a well
That
water.
would be
rig.
us.
Yeah, we do.
Another
we
rig.
do.
I think I'd like to look through that just to see what it says, because
Sure, I'll get you a copy.
I'm not familiar with it.
Right, yeah. If you do put a well in, there's the state reg and then the local reg there's, I forget how many points you have to test, 125 or 200 some,
Yeah,
they have
it's a
to test it.
whole testing
a
requirement.
whole testing requirement. And then for it to pass for drinking water, it also has a flow and a you
Flow rate.
pump flow
Yep.
rate, and you have to put pressure on the pump to produce that flow. So if the wall, I can't remember the words, but if the walls of the well are not rigid enough, and if it's not deep enough, it's not cavitation, but you cause a vacuum like block and you won't get water. So, it has to be at 60 PSI pressure. And I don't remember what the flow rate is, but it's pretty substantial.
I'm just curious on
Yeah.
what the regs are on it.
That would be for
Maybe,
drinking water.
maybe
If
we
it's-
need to put something in
might be-
place. And if, and whether it's a property you live on or abandoned property and you own it, like
Right.
something has to be in place where that is covered. I don't care if it's 5 feet deep or 3
Right.
feet deep, it's still a hazard no matter which way you look at it. So I want to make sure that there, you know, there's something in there, right? Because that's how we form these regs, is when there's an issue. We don't think to look at them until something like this happens. So I
Right.
think it's important that we look at it and see if there's anything that needs to be tweaked, or, you know, it's good the way it is, but at least we know what the regs are, right? I mean, I've been on the board for what, 11 years? I've never had a well issue. It's the
Yeah.
first time.
Right. Well, so when I joined, and probably within 4 years, we had a lot of well issues. Some were related to people were in an area where the iron was high, and it's going to be high if you put a well in, but there were some other people that were bordering land where people were spreading a lot of, because they didn't put enough topsoil down, they were spreading a lot of herbicide and not herbicide, but stuff to keep critters down and stuff like that, and lawn treatment products. Those are pretty nasty, high in phosphorus, high in other
High in
chemicals.
nitrates, yeah.
Yeah, nitrates, and they technically destroyed someone's private drinking water. And then the person said, well, I'll just put them on town water. And the person said, I don't want to get on town water. So we produced a few regs to prevent, let's say, runoff from, or even when you have an easement going through your property, where they broadcast spread from the ground or aerial, that they can't do it if there's any drinking water wells within, I think it's 500 feet of an easement. So Mass Highway does not do the highway on 495 of Bellingham, because there's several wells up there. And, you know, we were allowed as a board to protect those wells and people's rights. They paid money for those wells. And, you know, the state used to come to us every year. Now they don't come anymore, because they
That's
just
why I think it'll be
don't.
good for us to
Right.
look at them, Vinny, and get familiar with them, right?
It is,
Mike-
yeah, it's a good idea.
Me and Mike haven't been through it, so I think it's good for us to read through it and just get familiar with it.
I agree.
All right. So.
Okay, so let's see. Yes, was there any? Yeah, there's one other thing that I just want to bring it up, and I think we can put it on the agenda for the next meeting. I don't know, did you send these pictures to everybody or just me?
No, those are solely for you, Vinny, and at this
Okay.
point, they're not on the
Okay.
agenda. So
Well,
suggest you pull up.
I'm sure when I mention this, and like I said, I'm just gonna bring it up as something the Board of Health can do. There was an owner of the properties, he purchased 2 other properties too. Right now, those are intact and functioning houses. But the 3 houses on Hartford Avenue across from the Dunkin' Donuts, the Speedway, and the Sunoco station, as it came to the board, the planning board, it was either willful neglect, allowing it to get what we call degradation, willful neglect, or what we call an accidental, unavoid, what do you call it? Whatever the word means, they allowed it to degrade to a point where it's no longer an habitable house. And their comment was, well, we only did that because we were going to put a business there. And the last town meeting, it was passed over. Now at this town meeting, they want to convert this land to B1 or B2. And the board, the planning board said, and the zoning board said that you can't do that because that's spot zoning. And even though it's nice to have business on one side, nice to have business on the other side, so you don't have to make a left turn to get gas or to get your donut, you can just go to that side. That ain't gonna fly, because most people, I said, on boards have common sense. They look and they said, really? So anyway, the thought is these properties got wrecked because the owner allowed Mendon and Milford police to come in and do we call like a raid, you know, that break in, you know, and they police and they slammed the door down. The good news is about 10 residents were home when they did this, because it was a Friday or a Saturday. In any event, they call the Bellingham police, and congratulations to our Bellingham police. They kicked them out of there, saying, you can't do that. So now with the windows all broken and smashed, all the doors, they put up plywood. There are a couple of pieces that fell off and they put them back up. So I don't know if kids are in there, but the good news is these houses in the current condition are not livable. Therefore, they're not meeting the minimum housing standard. And they are a house. So as long as the house stands there, the house has two laws that apply this. First of all, it's a nuisance. It's a public nuisance because everybody travels by that. And two, it's a public health nuisance that there could be animals in there. There could be people in there, you know, doing things that they're not supposed to be doing. But the houses provide, what do you call that? A path to do something wrong or to have something bad happen. Just like you said, Trish. I'm not sure what the conditions are, the floors. You know, someone could fall through in there. Someone could end up, I don't know, getting bit by some animals in there now. And the neighborhood really said, you know, you need to do something about this. You know, you need to force him to take the properties down. And he said, well, he says, his lawyer said that the properties are being remain that way so he can protect the footprint. He can protect the footprint technically if he just keeps the foundation there. Now, the thing is, if you take the house down, you technically got to fill the foundation because not, that's a very large area someone could fall into, you know, cut across at night and fall into a hole. So I'd say the Board of Health, you know, we should have a public hearing and we can invite all the residents and they can, how do I say it, sway our common sense to say we can, because they're houses in deplorable condition, they're a nuisance, and under public health laws, we can have them, what do you call it, demolished and filled, the holes filled. So we have that authority. You know, I probably would reach out to the building inspector as well, but he's only going to look at it from a minimum housing standard for someone occupying it. Right now, they're unoccupied. So we have to approach it as an abandoned safety and health issue and a nuisance. You know, it's a physical nuisance.
I think we're on that already too, Vinny, because I know we had another property.
Yes, yes. We've already in Bellingham condemned 2 properties and one was completely destroyed. The other one was completely renovated. So that's the other thing too. We can tell him he has 30 days or 90 days to return these properties to, you know, no plywood on the windows, put all new windows back in there, put the doors back in, and then secure them, post them, you know, as long as they look like, you know, they're a house that's potentially lived in and not like, I don't know. I mean, I'm surprised it's not been torched at this point because it's just like an accident waiting to happen, you know? But I think it's too close to the road and we probably have kids have better things to do than go into these houses and smoke or set them on fire. So, I mean, good news is, I don't know. I think they're too close to the road for anybody to be in there. But that said, the third one down, the plywood in the back keeps getting replaced with wafer board because I think someone's prying it open. I don't know. The tenants are livid and there's a whole bunch of them have kids and animals. And they said the kids are not allowed to go there, but he said every once in a while they find kids from neighborhood just playing around the backyard, you know? So
let's put it on our agenda for next time and we can
Okay.
talk more about it.
Okay, and I'll get these copies of these prints for the next meeting. Okay, Laura, can you put that in the agenda? Hartford Avenue, one of the numbers is 190, that I can see. Actually, I can probably tell you. 190 Hartford Avenue, see if I can see the numbers. I don't know how they go up there.
Tim probably knows.
Yeah, 194. Yeah, I'm gonna guess it's 190, 194, and 198. Hartford Avenue, 3 abandoned buildings at this point. And we'll put it on our next agenda for I think if we do a public hearing, we get comments, it makes our job much easier.
Oh, absolutely.
You have 30 people saying, they can't stand looking at it. People come to visit them, not to mention, aside from being a visual eyesore for the entire town, it's such, to me, like a public safety and health threat. You know, that, I mean, we can use the nuisance law just to get rid of it in a heartbeat. So, okay, next meeting. Okay, I guess the next agenda item is 30 Stockholm Street. Mike, you have that plan?
I do. Sorry, I got a few different plans. I got a few different ones in
Okay.
front of me.
Take your time.
I didn't look at the back pages. There's more. Yeah, there's 6 Marion Road, so you got a couple, I guess.
Yeah, okay, I got 30 Stockholm Street.
Okay,
So it's a waiver
okay,
for this 3 feet of separation to groundwater and the septic, where 4 inches is 4 feet is required. So I just gotta put a motion to grant the waiver to 30 Stockholm Street.
it's the only one, just one.
Yep, just one.
Yeah,
And I
Okay.
said,
Second that. Anybody?
Yep, second.
Or
Or sorry, I
Trish?
gotta get the motion. Motion
Right.
on the floor to grant
Trish,
the
you can
waiver.
second that?
yep, did you get my second?
Okay, I didn't. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay, 30 Stockholm is done. 6 Marion Road, that a local upgrade approval too, Mike?
Yes.
Yep, 6 Marion Roads, yep, separation water. Permits allowed 2 feet of separation with perk rates greater than 2 MP, was MPH?
Yes. Minutes per inch.
All right.
That's a
Minutes per-
Presby system. Just so everybody
Okay.
knows, with the remedial repair on Presby, they allowed to do that with the grant. So it's pretty much a by right with Presby, but we've been, approving the waivers on those.
So that's 4 to 2, Bruce, or 3 to 2, if you want to call it.
It's a remedial permit as part of their approval on the Presby system, so it's by right, but I've been having you guys voted anyway.
Okay.
Okay.
So can I have a
I'll
second on that, Trish?
I second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay, that's approved. Okay, so let's see, we have bills. Okay, so there is an annual certification, Massachusetts Area Health Boards. The first one is in Marlborough on the 14th of May. The second one is the 21st, which is in Taunton, and the third one's in Holyoke. I will be in North Carolina on the 21st. I can do the 14th. I don't know if anybody else wants to go,
I'm looking at the 14th. The only conflict I have is it's kind of comical. The 15th of May is my daughter's baby shower. The 21st is my wedding anniversary.
Oh,
And
okay.
then the 10th is the birth of my granddaughter.
Okay.
Well, so there you go. You got a lot going on.
But
So
I'm
the
gonna try and
14th is
shoot.
good?
I'm gonna shoot for the 14th.
Okay,
What time is it on the 14th? Because I have bids for kids on the 14th.
Trish, there's different days. I mean, there's three different.
Yeah, it's May
Well, you could probably
14th.
go to one of the other ones, and if you'd like, you'll pick one, and I'll go with you on that one if you want.
Does it have
It's-
or no?
I'm
They
sorry.
usually- Aren't they like 10 to 2 or something?
It's
Um,
8:15 to 4.
It's a long day.
It is, but I typically don't stay for all of it anyway. I go and look
right,
at,
you can go in and, and I think if you at least stay till 1, you end up get your certificate, because they print them up. They don't have to, some places you have to wait till 4 o'clock before you can pick up your certification. Usually, they have it ready by 12 or 1. I think it's usually right after lunch, they're ready. So around a table, you pick it up and you can take off.
Yeah, usually they put it on the table and well, Trish, if you pick a day, I'll go that same day and I can grab your certificate. If you want to.
I'll go on the 14th with Vinny.
Yeah. And Bruce, what we might do is take the company car.
It's, I mean, that's where it's right up the street from where I
Oh,
work.
it's up, okay, that's fine. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that I work on Saturdays, but
No, but whatever. Oh, that's right. I forgot, Mike, you live right nearby there. Okay, yeah. It's right off the highway, but whatever.
yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna say that I'll do the 14th, but let me just look at my calendar for the other days too, because if I can't,
Okay,
So I'll have Laura put all 4 of us in for the 14th.
yeah, and if for some
Okay.
reason,
Yeah, I'll request a check for 4, and then I'm sure you can bring it to another one if that's the case.
yeah, you can always do that. If you miss one, you can go to 21st or
Yeah.
to the next one, yeah.
okay, let's do that.
Okay, I just say Holyoke, if you haven't been out in Western Mass, that is
No, I don't want to go to Holyoke.
Yeah, no Holyoke.
yeah,
No,
that's like
on
in
and off.
Amherst country. You're out there.
It
You
takes a while to
drive
get
and
there.
drive.
Been
You
there,
hear the
done that.
banjo-
I
you hear
took
the banjos
classes
playing.
at UMass Amherst. It was a long ride.
Yeah. I mean, when I did my soil certificate, it was like, occasionally I do a class at clock. So it was only like an hour, 45-minute drive, but the other one was like 2 hours each way. It was like unbelievable. And it was always a Saturday and a Sunday because, the night stuff was I couldn't get out early enough to do the night classes. So anyway, whatever.
All right, so is that it? Oh, yeah, Bill.
Well, then we got Bruce's,
Yep, I got the motion for, is it the one, it's the 207, correct? No, it's the 150 for.
153.
license- Yep, the license
The state
certification
requires
for,
you to pay it online now, so I went ahead and paid it. There's a copy of the invoice and a copy of the,
yeah, I see it.
of the.
All right, so I second that.
okay, all those in favor, say aye. Aye,
Aye.
opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay, that's done. Do you have another one now, Mike, or not?
That's it.
That's
Nope,
it.
that's it. Bruce, I'll bring everything by tomorrow, when I get out of work. Does that work for you?
That's fine. Then I can get it to the other 2.
Okay.
Actually, before we get too far, we missed an item.
Oh, we did.
Uh, Under the old business for the past 2 balances.
Oh. Your stuff, Rob?
Partially.
Okay, got it. Okay, so,
It's more of a, if Bruce can update me on this. I don't believe that the business in question has paid their taxes yet.
oh, yeah.
One of them,
That's in, and then the Save More, but the Save More is a tenant. It's not.
yeah, they
not
are a
the same as
tenant. So the issue is,
That's the owner of the property.
Yeah, so how are we gonna, well, with the one that is owing taxes, since the application for the permitize requires a sign off by the assessor, or the tax assessor. I mean, I want them to be legal. They need, I guess Planet A has already paid for the sticker,
Yeah,
but
Planet 8 is paid for the permits and the sticker in both cases. I think Rob is more concerned because both have tobacco and one has a tobacco and liquor license, which doesn't involve this board, but it does involve the select board.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
I
they
believe
what are
both
they
have the
doing?
permits.
about this last time. They have to bring their taxes up to date.
So they may
So-
end up, if they don't, they may end up being out of business more than the being able to issue a permit. They may not be able to open their doors.
Well, so that was more my question was under the MGLs, if we did want to revoke their permits until the taxes are paid, that is an option. I didn't know if you wanted to go that route or if we just wanted to, they have their permit for this year. If it's not taken care of by next year, then they're not renewed. I just wasn't sure what your opinions were.
I'm actually fine with that, but
Yeah,
we
so
do
am I. Yeah.
to make sure that we stay on top of it, Robbie, because I don't want it to get pushed through for some reason and then we realize that they didn't pay their tax. You know what I mean? I don't want it to go.
I think they were both flagged for non-renew status by the assessor's office. So I don't even think that they can, I could be wrong, but I don't even think that they can even put in something for renewal. So I don't know how it gets flagged in the system, but they did.
Yeah,
they did
it'll
flag.
It'll get flagged, you can't sign off unless it's taken care of.
Right. So the previous
Uh,
time, there was no permitized, therefore they could renew it, because I'm sure the taxes it's not 1 year they owe, right? Or is it just 1 year?
So I think one of them is a few quarters, and the other one may have been a longer term issue. But it's just coming to light.
Okay. So that
Uh,
should be reasonable enough. Hopefully the business is doing good enough. If you're a year or two behind, you're in trouble. But if you're only a couple of quarters, I'm thinking what we're saying is by next renewal period, they have to have all this in place.
Yeah. So by January 1st, everything would have to be current.
Okay.
Could we give them something in writing that just, so it covers everything and says, even though you should already know this, but if you're not up to date on your taxes next year, we're not going to be able to renew your permit.
I did stop in and spoke with both business owners. I can put something in writing.
Okay.
Because that's good too.
I think putting it in writing is the best way to go, to be honest.
Yeah. Just to
It
have a
also
record.
gives us a handle on it, and it would not be like the situation with the BP station where they renewed and under a different thing and whatever, still can't figure how they did that, but they did it in any event. Now Robbie's got a hold of this, so it won't happen again. And I guess I don't want other, I don't want other businesses to follow the same. So I'm not going to pay taxes and I still get my permit. No, you don't. This is just simply we're giving an extension to get current and whatever. Because the other permits were issued, right, before tobacco and
All of their permits were
Those
issued.
were
I
issued.
think that they were only just flagged for non-renewal
Okay.
within
Right.
the last couple.
okay.
I think it would be a good idea when we send out renewal reminders, we just put that in there for any permits. If your taxes aren't paid, you won't be issued a permit.
I
Yeah,
think
that's a great idea.
idea, Laura. Also,
Notifying,
speaking about permits, how are we doing with the bins? We're waiting for a couple people to,
I believe, Laura, tell me if I'm wrong here, but I believe that everybody's been permitted now.
Yes, everybody's been permitted except for that.
Oh, you cut out what, except for, and then you muted.
is it vets?
No, everybody's been permitted except for the one that we let him go till the end of the month.
okay,
yeah.
so he should be having his bins removed if they're not already.
Correct.
So we gave him
across from
the end
Stop
of
and
the
Shop.
month.
Yes, yeah, we told him he had till the end of his contract period, which was
End of May.
May 15th, I think.
End of May.
End of May. Okay, good. Okay.
I thought it was the end of April.
No, remember it was May 15th. I think we said end of May or the 15th, whatever. We could just make it. It should, whatever the contract's over, the bin needs to be removed within 7 days of the period of his contract. So if it's the 15th, it's the 22nd,
Well, we don't know when his contract is up.
It's the end of May.
The end of May? Okay, so it's the end of May. Okay. I too thought it was the end of April, but okay. It's the end of May. Okay, so.
I thought
Make
at the last meeting, we had mentioned that we were going to give him to the end of April. So the first week of May, they would be removed.
I don't remember. Is it in our, is it be our previous minutes or these minutes?
Would have been in it would have been in these minutes, actually, but
Could be in these. Okay, let's look at that right now, just for the heck of it. I don't remember seeing it though.
It's a donation bin, second page. It says the empty lot has a contract until the end of May.
Oh, yeah, okay, it does. It does. Okay, fine.
Okay.
The one,
All
yeah,
right,
okay,
perfect. All right, so those should be gone by the end of May. All right, perfect.
that's
Good.
easy enough. So, okay, I guess that's it. If anybody else has anything else,
I
guess-
have one more thing.
Go, Robbie.
That's it. He's
Go,
fine.
Robbie.
Just kidding.
Going back to the goal items, I know that I may have brought this up at the last meeting. I know that I mentioned it to Bruce, so I don't remember who I have mentioned it to besides Bruce. But one of the items was the service animals, or just pets in general.
Oh, yeah, got it. Yeah.
I had a friend that did
I
that.
was gonna say yes. I know the trainer, or the two trainers actually that have businesses behind the Dairy Queen, and they had asked if they would be able to come into a meeting and kind of give us a training on kind of some differentiations. Where if this is something that we're going to run into more often with writing the regulation that all places need to be permitted,
Right.
I think it might not be a bad idea for us to just kind of know more of the ins and outs of it. So.
No, I think that that's great. Find out when they are available.
They can do this the 17th, but I know that that's already kind of a larger meeting. So I'll check with them and see if they want to do the 17th or potentially the first meeting in June.
Okay, that'd be good.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thanks for, yeah, we are writing that, and this would probably be easy too, because maybe we'll get information from them that can be put right into our reg, and then we'll have a public hearing on that. We'll, I guess, do it.
Just where they know more of the ins and outs of things. For instance, they told me the other day that a service animal can't actually be certified until it's over a year old. So anybody that has a dog under a year old, it's not a service animal.
Yeah.
Good. I got a gazillion questions to ask him. That's great.
So
yeah.
But yeah, I'll ask them if they want to come to one of the next meetings, and I'll let Laura know so she can put them on the agenda.
Okay, so I think we satisfied everything.
Motion to adjourn.
Second on that? Trish?
I second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Oh,
Aye.
one quick thing.
Oh, hold on.
Everybody notice in your packet, I did catch up with Ian Labonte from the VNA over in Milford. And
Oh,
there's
yeah.
a sample contract in there for you guys to kind of peruse through. And then maybe we can do is invite Ian to our next meeting or the meeting after that to discuss our options and what we may want to try to have covered. But I mean, that's what they typically send out to each of the towns there. So take a quick peek at what it is and what it's offering and get familiar with it. And then we'll schedule something with Ian to come and talk to you.
Okay, did they give us an idea of a price range on that, or?
Depends on what you want to do for options.
Okay, fine. So the other thing too is we did get an application in, or I think it was a meeting or two ago, from some lady that was a nurse saying that she wanted to apply for the job. Do you remember seeing that? I definitely saw it.
Yeah, I remember seeing it.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, we should obviously get a price, and we'll look at the services, we pick what we want for the seniors. And for other things, obviously VNA can do a little bit more because they already state contracted. If I think they take care of mother care in the first, week or whatever after you're released from the hospital. A few other
One
things.
thing that's nice about the VNA is that, if one person's away or sick or on vacation or
Right.
God forbid, quarantine, they have other staff that can fill in. If you go with one, then you're looking at myself or Laura to back that person up. And with what Maven did to the two of us there, it's difficult to get on and look at and track and trace if you're not on the program and consistently using it. So it's
My biggest thing with the VNA was, even before the budget and how much it cost, was, do they even do Maven? And
Yes.
are they willing to do Maven for us?
Yes,
because they weren't.
If you look in the contract under item 5 and 6.
Okay.
Yeah, the other thing too is, Trish, just to remember, we had Woonsocket VNA, and I forget the lady's name, Stephanie, whatever. And once we went away from them, it was because they couldn't do VNA because they were an island, and they didn't want to do VNA because they only had 1 or 2 Massachusetts towns that were clients, and they didn't want to do VNA training for their staff. So, but Bruce is right. They did have people that could do different things for us. They could bring out different people, do different types of care for the seniors. So it kind of does offer you, let's say, a staff that's on duty instead of just one person. But whatever, let's look at all our avenues, and then decide
Yeah.
if we don't want the VNA, we can start advertising. And, we have till June, which is coming around
It's
pretty
coming up
quick.
quick.
Yeah, I mean, last time, the reason why we switched to town nurses, because it was more personable too.
Yeah.
It was the same person over and over. And we felt that the elderly did like that. Because they knew the person. And it was always the same person over and over, and it was someone in our town. And plus budget wise, it was a good
Yeah, it
budget,
was
so.
considerably less. I mean, I remember the VNA, 15, 20 years ago. We were getting a contract for like 3,000. They were charging 13,800 or 14,000.
Mhm.
And I'm just afraid if this is going to be like 25, 30K. And I'm saying, you know what?
I talked to, I can't think of it, Jackie over in Milford.
Yep.
They used them, and then Kathleen and Franklin, and it was about 18 to 21.
Okay, so
All right, so we'll look at that.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
definitely part of the plan.
Okay. Thanks, Bruce. I forgot about that, but okay. Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second.
I
All
second
those
that.
in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay,
Have a good night.
good night. See you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.